The last balance patch was a bit on the controversial side, but through all the changes, one weapon has emerged to join the ranks of the best guns in the game.
Probably the biggest crossbow enjoyer
You what?
in your server, and this thing is nuts. Like,
Nope.
Deserved.
valid.
My name is Commissar Kai, and today I'm going to show y'all why Democracy's PP has earned the title of an S-tier weapon. I'll show you all the stats, weak points, and the loadouts you'll need to get the most out of your big PP energy. I have been shouting at people to use this thing since early 2024, because it completely trivialized bot patrols back when the spawns were nutty. Plus, it's always been a peak weapon for aura farming, letting you fire as you walk into combat, daring anything to try to get close to you.
Gotta show the clan cause we got that shit on.
Hey man, do you have your at ease?
No, but I have this.
Freedom's Glaze Gun has always had a ridiculous amount of stagger and good AoE damage, which made it the perfect weapon to take on the hordes of clankers back before Command put a little more ooh in our arsenal. After all, when the enemy cannot fight back, your balls of white-hot plasma can slow cook their circuits and prep their metal for the refineries at a leisurely pace. But with the latest patch, the Plasma Punisher got its gray sweatpants upgrade. The projectile damage was removed, but it was completely pointless to begin with, since the weapon's projectiles exploded before making contact with the enemy, and you could prove this with its inability to headshot our foes. But as a trade-off, our PP now has a lot more force behind every shot. The explosive damage got buffed from a shriveled 150 to a much more girthy 225.
Please tell me that is your nose.
It isn't.
This extra 75 damage on top of the weapon's level 3 penetration means it can now hit some absurdly powerful breakpoints, like one-shotting hunters or killing a flesh mob in less than a magazine. Combined with the buffs it received back in late 2024 to give it more spare mags so it can pound the enemy for longer, a more steady projectile speed to improve performance, and a far more pronounced arc to hit those hard-to-reach targets.
Really gonna get used to the arc on the PP.
Yep.
It bends a certain way.
Our PP is now far more powerful than it has ever been before.
Stop making PP jokes！ 别在这拖拖拉拉的，快点做完视频去做饭。
Ow, okay, damn it, I'll ease off the jokes. The Plasma Punisher should be the model for how utility-based weapons work in the future. It now does good damage, but its firepower ain't overwhelmingly strong since it still takes a couple of shots to put down a medium-sized enemy. But the reason I say this weapon has joined the S-tier of primaries is because it does very respectable damage while keeping its identity as a crowd control weapon. Plus, it can be taken on every front and against every sub-faction while still kicking a democratic amount of ass. That level of versatility and effectiveness across a wide range of factions and sub-factions is what makes a weapon S-tier. But if you're still not convinced, check this out. You can hold back whole bug breaches with this thing now. Everything smaller than an Alpha Commander dies in either 1 to 2 hits or is so staggered that they never get a chance to get close to you. And if you have more than one diver using it, you can just carpet bomb the enemy with burning plasma death. This is true across all factions, and it really gives the PP a niche as Helldivers' best crowd control primary. Additionally, it has a ton of spare ammo, coming with 9 total mags, sports a reasonably quick reload speed, and you can use that arc of the shot to give the enemy a taste of what it feels like to be in range of enemy artillery.
They are in range of allied artillery.
Exactly.
But for all its greatness, the PP does have a couple of drawbacks. Because you want to be spamming this thing at the enemy, you'll often find yourself running low on ammo, especially if you don't bring Siege Ready or a supply pack. This can be mitigated with smart resupply use or building your loadout around it, but it's worth noting. It's also easy to liberate yourself if you're not mindful of its blast radius. Avoiding this particular flavor of untimely demise gets easier with practice, since you'll know when something is just a tad too close to shoot. But because its damage is so high now, and the explosion is medium armor penetrating, it can easily blow you up in one shot. The last downside is that it cannot close spawners. Normally you'd fix this by taking the grenade pistol, but the clever Helldivers among you will notice that this causes a slight problem. When everything that you're carrying is an explosive, it can be real tough to deal with an enemy getting up in your face. We'll go over how to fix this issue in the loadout section, but it's worth mentioning here. Because I am on an endless crusade to throw the explosive crossbow into the darkest abyss I can find, there is one more thing we gotta cover if I'm gonna convert y'all to the supremacy of my PP. No, I'm sorry, I'll stop. And that's the weak points. Well, considering how this weapon works, I guess this time it's the breakpoints. The Plasma Punisher has some truly disgusting breakpoints now that it does more damage, which makes it a lot of fun to use. On bugs, there's a few notable ones. Biospheres go down in 3 shots, Hunters get toasted with a single blast, Warriors die in 2 hits, which is very handy for taking on large groups of them, Alpha Commanders take 5 hits, but they'll be staggered the whole time and everything around them will get cooked while you work, Chargers die in less than a full mag if you pop their butt. You can do this from the front as well, it's just a little trickier to land. Impalers die in just 1 magazine if you shoot their stupid face. It's also surprisingly great at killing Shriekers. 1 shot can down whole flocks of them, and once you get used to its arc, it's very easy to land those shots. But the most terrifying enemy the bugs have, the Hive Guard, guards their fellas into the oil refinery with just 3 hits. Given how fast the fire rate is, even enemies that take multiple hits to go down, that one wasn't on purpose. They still die very quickly, especially compared to other primaries. This weapon is nuts against the fascists, where it used to be a fairly middle-of-the-road option. Bots is where the PP made its name, but sweet Liberty, it's so much stronger now. Devastators die in 3 hits regardless of flavor. Rocket Striders die in just 2 shots to their legs or junk. Little bots will just melt away before you, especially in big groups or if they're crowded up in a bunker, and it can even kill Hulks decently if they're not looking at you. But the most surprising bit to me was how good it is at killing tanks and cannon towers. Both die in less than a mag, so around 6 shots to their heat vent. And because of its explosive radius, Barrager tanks in particular are terrified of your PP, since you can just blast their top off with a couple of shots. Gunships would die quickly to the Plasma Punisher, but good luck actually hitting them. The only enemies that don't fear your PP are War Striders, Factory Striders, and Cringe turrets, since its AP3 blasts aren't quite enough to get through their armor. But this is a weakness we can cover later. Finally, Squids is the PP's least favorite faction, for a couple of very particular reasons. It joins the Eruptor, Crossbow, and Purifier as one of the only weapons that can easily 1-mag a flesh mob. Given how annoying these enemies still are, this is a blessing, but it really shines against Voteless and Overseers. Voteless crowds get cooked by the blast, which really shouldn't surprise anyone. It's basically a hydrogen bomb versus coffin baby type of situation. But what will really surprise you is how crazy strong this thing is against Overseers. It'll swat elevated Overseers out of the sky with just 2 hits. And given how often these assholes love to buzz around your head like a cloud of mosquitoes, these shots are also very easy to land. For the grounded variety of Overseer, it'll kill any of them in 3 hits, even with their shields up.
The goggles do nothing.
Plus, it can even shoot down stingrays reasonably quickly. But the downsides against this faction are very significant. The most important one is it being terrible against Watchers. It takes 3 whole shots to bring one down, and the time it takes to fire that much is just not enough to avoid the reinforcement call in. The PP is also really bad against shields, meaning you'll need another tool to strip these away. The downsides aren't bad enough to overcome the strengths of the weapon, but it does create some awkward loadout situations that you'll need to overcome. Speaking of loadouts, let's go over a couple of synergies that really elevate this already incredible weapon to new heights. When you're trying to build around a gun, you want to take into account its weaknesses first, and then think about how to capitalize on its strengths. Our PP is mighty, but it has a propensity to blow us into chunky soup if we get swarmed. This weakness against close-ranged enemies can be solved a couple of ways, but my favorite is to pair it with either the Hover Pack or the Lift 182. This added mobility lets you avoid getting swamped and helps you find angles to keep pumping loads of democracy into the enemy swarms. They also help you get around to the weak points of things like Hulks and Chargers. The second weakness is its ammo supply. 9 mags is a good chunk of spare ammo, but with how often we want to be firing, we will run dry if we don't address it. There are 2 main ways to get around this problem. You can go the direct route and bring Siege Ready or a supply pack, or you can go the indirect route and bring a support weapon like the MG43, Stalwart, or Flamethrower. Having another powerful weapon to lean on against close-in targets will let you avoid dumping most of your ammo too fast. Its final weakness is against heavy armor. Our PP can't do much to something like a Bile Titan, so we will need to account for that in our build. Thermites are the classic option, but I prefer to pair my PP with the big PP. The Epoch is another weapon that got a glow up recently, and it can now close spawners, meaning we don't need to worry about packing all explosive weapons and can bring a sidearm like the SOCOM pistol as a backup, while still having room for our backpack. But to augment the strength of our primary, we want to lean into its ability to set up a wall between us and the enemy. Being able able to stagger the crap out of whole armies means things like the 1063 Dynamite, Eagle Napalm, or your favorite Sentry can shine just a little bit more. Dynamite hits incredibly hard now, but their long fuse time usually means you either have to cook it or plant it in just the right spot for maximum effect. But with the Plasma Punisher, you can force your enemies to sit on that dynamite like it's an egg for their spawn, giving you some truly delicious kill streaks. For an example loadout that'll work against either the bots or the bugs, try pairing the Plasma Punisher with the Epoch to handle all your basic combat needs, the Lift 182 or Hover Pack for that added mobility so you don't blow yourself up, Dynamite for general purpose work like closing bug holes, fabricators, or just nuking anything unfortunate enough to be nearby.
For the primary goal, I was like, I'm gonna go take care of the primary, and you guys.
God, don't get run over by the machine gun sentry.
A nice job. I don't know what that was, but you killed me in less than a second.
Dropped on top of my dynamite. Oh no. Take armor with the engineering kit passive for more dynamites, or siege ready for more plasma goodness, and whatever sidearm you like. For stratagems, be bold. Take things like the 120mm barrage and make the democracy haters sit in it with the power of your PP. Then take something like the orbital rail cannon strike for quickly popping a big target, or Matilda to watch your back while you work. If you're up against the squids, just bring something like the MG43 to strip shields and deal with harvesters. Everything else can stay pretty much the same. The Plasma Punisher is both a rewarding primary in its own right and a fantastic tool for team play. It lets you act as a freedom-loving bulwark to protect your team and buy them time to complete objectives, or just lay into your enemies with a ferocity only a Helldiver can understand. Give it a try using all this information, and I'm positive you too will agree it's way more fun than the crossbow.
Yeah, I think this thing's better than the crossbow for other than the ability to close holes. And
And as always, if you need a place to play with people that value the social aspect of gaming and working as a team, join my division of 30,000 commandos by clicking the link in the description of this video. But until next time, this is Commissar Kai, signing out.
like that's the
Imlerth, can you call an extraction?
I want them to reinstitute that bug, but just for flags. Just like Easter egg it. Dude, there's so many of these watchers. I've killed 2.
Scribbles, it's your turn.
Alright, Scribs, you're up.